Hello, everyone. We are heading June 2021, half of a year of the 2021 debates throughout the Our World Heritage Initiative. We are reaching our fourth episode of Our World Heritage Talks. If you missed the previous editions, you can always check them at our YouTube channel. There is a special playlist dedicated to our talks. I'm Maria Eugenia Sigüencia, Marie, and today I have the pleasure to share this talk with two members of this initiative. I would like to welcome Anna-Paola Pola and George Abungu, who will be today with us sharing their thoughts about being part of our World Heritage. Anna-Paola is an architect and planner, director, urban planning and research fellow at WITRAP Shanghai. George is an archaeologist and emeritus director general of the National Museum of Kenya. He is also founding professor of heritage studies at the University of Mauritius. Since we are reaching half of the 2021 debates, there are many issues that become central for this initiative. So let's talk about this almost 6 months of visible activities and more than a year already of preparing and reflection work. Let's get started. First of all, I would like to ask you to shortly introduce yourself with your own words and tell us how you became involved and interested of the Our World Heritage Initiative. So give the turn to Anna-Paola, please, to start with it.
Thank you, Mary. I'm an architect and an urban planner. I'm working on urban and rural heritage in China at this WITRAP Shanghai, that is a UNESCO Category 2 center. And I was involved more or less 1 year ago in this initiative by Francesco Bandarin. He explained me the initiative and introduced me to Maike, and with her we started collaborating in this initiative.
Thank you, Anna-Paola. And George, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Maria. It's a pleasure really to be here and talk about our World Heritage, which is a great initiative. As you have said, I'm an archaeologist and a heritage professional, and also a professor at a university, but currently now I'm much more doing consultancies on heritage for different bodies and governments. I've been in the heritage sector for the last nearly 35 to 40 years, rising through the ranks. And at one time, I was Kenya's representative to the World Heritage Committee. So, and also I've taught the convention, all the UNESCO conventions for my students. So it's something that I am a bit familiar with. As concerns our World Heritage, I came in at the beginning when it was still being thought. Francesco Bandarini and Mike Tanner called me and told me that they were thinking of setting up our World Heritage and if I could be interested. Now, based on the views and the objectives of that, and having sat in the World Heritage Committee and having seen how things are going, I thought that if I put my effort and come in, I would contribute a little towards helping UNESCO, helping the state parties, helping the world by also playing a role. And that's how I found myself in there, and I've been in there since then. Thank you.
Thank you, George. As you can see from the very roots of this initiative, thank you very much. So now I would like to ask you about this way that we have gone through the initiative. How far do you think we have reached in this initiative? What do you think are the ways to perceive these advances? So Anna-Paola.
But actually, I think we are still just at the beginning. We have done a lot of things, but in the perspective, in the longer perspective, we were just at the beginning. So we managed to establish this kind of international platform. And since January to today, we managed to organize a lot of events and debates in order to discuss the issues on heritage, but we're just at the beginning, I think.
Mm-hmm. And what about you, George? You have another perspective about this?
Yes, Maria, I think that Anna-Paola has been very gentle with her words on our World Heritage Initiative. I think a lot has been done, and Anna-Paola has been chairing these meetings every Monday for the group, and I want to congratulate her for that. And it's a pleasure, you know, us sitting together, and of course you running this particular newsletter is a major contribution. When we started 1 year ago, I did not think that we'll be here, and it has evolved spontaneously. And the number of webinars and the number of topics that have been covered that touch on the health of our world heritage and beyond the heritage, beyond the world heritage, to the general heritage, which is truly very, I can say, you know, truthful to Article 5 of the Convention that looks at other heritage also. So I think we've come a long way to create this platform that has allowed us to talk to thousands of people through Zoom, and also to be able to conceptualize and even to operationalize some of the work that I thought we would not be able to do at the moment, beginning from the first webinar all the way to where we have reached now. So for me, I think that the achievement has been tremendous and beyond my imagination. But I want to say that maybe, as we have said in other places, this is now the time that the baby has been born and growing up, and now we want to see how it can make an impact, a proper impact on the world. And I really look forward to our World Heritage being such a facilitator in understanding the challenges that we face and creating or coming up with some of the solutions of how we can be able to tackle some of the issues that we have. But I think that the state parties and UNESCO should really embrace this World Heritage as a supporter rather than a competitor. And that is the spirit that I've seen all through. So I think that within the last 1 year, it has done marvelous stuff that is beyond what I personally imagined.
Thank you, George, and thank you for this really natural comparison of a life itself. We are growing up, and some of the results are already there. As part of this group of people at OurWorldHeritage, what do you think in these all initiatives that have happened, what do you think is the biggest impact it has had, maybe at your personal level, or if you have been able to transmit it to a broader community? Let's continue with you, George.
Yes, I think that it has had, because I meet with people and they ask me, what about this World Heritage Initiative? Is it in contradiction with what UNESCO is doing? I say, no, it is actually supporting the work of UNESCO. It is supporting the work of the states parties. Even some members of the state parties, they also ask the same question. So for me, I think it has made a good effort. But like any other new initiative, when it starts, people are always very suspicious about that. But I think that the suspicion has been sort of, in a way, removed by the open globiness that we have had and the discussion that covers all topics that actually touch on the key areas that we've always wanted to discuss. So for me, I think what it has shown that unlike a closed door of World Heritage Committee meetings that I was part of for 4 years, and also I've been attending after that, this is an open discussion on an open platform with no agendas that are contradictory to what UNESCO, to what the state parties want. And for me, I think it's a very powerful sort of, way of expressing the needs of the heritage and tangle it as a community of the world. So that for me has been a major, learning process, that we can actually open this discussion to the global society and discuss it in all kinds of platforms, irrespective of the limits that we have.
Thank you, George. And what about you, Anna-Paola? what would you say are the impacts that you perceive?
But, impact, first of all, at a personal level, I mean, I discovered many different points of view on related with heritage and the heritage perception, including different voices, aspect, consideration, issues. And I think that this is also an aspect that is really relevant for the broader community of heritage practitioner, and also for people living in heritage places, people involved in World Heritage places.
Yes, thank you very much, Anna-Paola. Let's talk about something else rather than impacts, but what about expectations? Regarding them, is there something that you were expecting from this initiative and that has not happened yet, probably? What about continuing with Anna-Paola?
Yes, I think that now it's probably the moment to start working more on the ground. I mean, 2020 was this year with this particular situation, so this Zoom meeting was perfectly suited to the situation. But I think that now we really need to work more on the ground, involving people living and working on World Heritage sites throughout the world. And so enable more people to directly participate in the debate on World Heritage.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I cannot be more into that as well. I'm really looking forward to the field work. Let's
Yes.
let's hear to George. George, what do you think you're expecting? And
I think Anna-Paola has said it all, but he has to add a little bit. Yes, the expectations are always there, and of course we've said the objectives that we set, we have met, I think, a lot of that, especially gathering of information, creating a platform, opening up the discussions. As she says, I think we need now to be able to communicate with the community. We need now to be able to listen, not to ourselves, but to listen to the others, what they are saying about what we are doing. We need not to do it for others, but do it with others. Because they say, if you do it for me without me, you are against me. And I think that we have developed enough materials that we can be able to engage the communities with. How do we then reach the ground? How do we then reach and involve more civil society, more NGOs, the state parties, UNESCO itself, the intellectual or the academic community, and so on? I think we need now to move towards that, to make it smaller. We have gathered a lot of information. How do we sieve this information so that we can put it in a narrative, in a language that will be able to be listened to be absorbed by the different stakeholders that we have? We have many stakeholders we have mentioned. We now need to be able to directly reach them. And I think this is the time, because we have done a lot of work, and this work has to reach the community in a way and a language and a method that they are comfortable with, and that they will be able to understand how we are communicating with them. Not for them, but with them.
mm-hmm. Thank you, George. Good way to say it, with them. All together, I think we do better. So thank you very much for your committed, I would say, work and answers also to these questions. To finish this talks, we are expecting to gather in this series of talks some inspiring experiences of the people involved in the initiative. So we'll be glad to hear about heritage-related experience you have been involved in, and maybe has been a turning point in your career. Probably it has to do with our heritage or not. So Anna-Paola, what about you?
I think one important experience for me was at a young age when I worked in a post-earthquake plan in Italy for the reconstruction of a small historical settlement and their surrounding environment. And there, for the first time, I had the chance to experience and really understand the importance and the role of built heritage for the local population. this was the first experience, let's say that, and after that, my involvement in in heritage preservation gets started.
Thank you, Anna-Paola. That's really very nice to hear that the commitment with the people is real and it's tangible. Thank you very much. And let's finish with George. Give us some of your experience.
Some of my experience. I said that I've been in this business for quite a long time. So I don't know, maybe I should start with my last experience, but I will start with an earlier one. I think it's really to see young people grow up in the system, particularly managers of World Heritage sites and sites in general, or seeing the youth take on the idea of heritage as something that is not only a pastime, but something that they can make a living, they can love, they can work with, they can develop apps about. I see that happening in Kenya. I've been involved in one way or another. Some of it through training. I was so blessed, even at a very early age, as the Director General of the museum, to be part of a program, Africa 2009, that was a collaboration between UNESCO, ICROM, Cratea, ICOMOS, and many other bodies for training, capacity building in Africa. And for 4 years, I chaired that. And to see that I can go to most of the sites and find that the people we trained are the ones now managing these sites and managing well has been fantastic. The last experience is last year in October, November, when I went to Sudan on a UNESCO mission, because the Nile River is rising up, I think because of the climate conditions. There is underground flooding, and to see that some of the most fantastic pyramids and some of the most fantastic temples are actually in Sudan, and people don't talk about them, and they are flooded. And what do we do? How do we deal with these issues? This is a major disaster sometimes in the making, but a disaster that goes beyond our understanding of little paid money for culture and for heritage, and that we need to actually rethink the language of the heritage and to try to invest on it in terms of the communities, in terms of the government understanding, and in terms of the international community understanding for supporting heritage. All these have sort of influenced the way I think about heritage, and some of these experiences have more or less long-lasting effect on the way I look at heritage today, after 35 to 40 years of being engaged in this business.
So, George, thank you very much. As you have said, we are here for that, for working for culture, for working for heritage. I think throughout all generations, that is the main goal. Thank you very much for this chat. It's great to know that we count with such diverse perspectives from people that are engaged and working in this initiative. There are no doubt they are inspiring stories for all of us. Thank you to all the subscribers of our newsletter. Keep watching the upcoming episodes of Our World Heritage Talks, and don't forget to follow the activities of the 2021 debates. Every month there is a new topic, and June this will be new heritage approaches. Take care and see you all next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Anna.